Welcome to Cool Clubs. Today we've got Tom Kalinowski from KBS Tour Golf. Give us a little bit of background. Like you are R&D, you are the tour guy, you're a little bit of building, developing. Give us a little bit about your role at KBS.
I like to think that I can fill whatever role we need to be filled with. So if I need to go to a tour event to sub in for one of our guys, I'll go there. Primarily, I'm here in Arizona. I kind of do a lot with the R&D side. Kim and I work on shafts together and come up with new products and designs, and then I do all the testing for those shafts to make sure from a playability standpoint I'm connecting the right feels and launch and spin rates to the performance of the shafts. And then mainly I'll handle LPGA Tour and women's golf as well.
So going back to like the feel stuff, I mean, let's just dial in there. I mean, that's our bread and butter day to day. We have players come in and we're trying to figure out what they're feeling and giving them products to make it feel good and perform good. And like you're a different level. Like I class you as an elite golfer, basically a tour golfer that isn't on tour. You're in the equipment side of the industry. A great avenue to go down. But you've got this luxury where you're amazing ability to change your golf swing to help Kim and KBS as a whole to create product. So looking into your bag, do you play stuff that you like the feel of and you manipulate it to work for you, or do you play stuff that gives you good numbers and you just do you?
Selfishly, I think that part of my role at KBS is also into the fitting and feel perspectives come from what I also want personally. So I mean, personally, I want to play what I feel is the best for me to perform with, and I want it to be able to not only feel the best, but perform in all conditions. And I want that that way for every shaft in our bag, and that's how a lot of my, I guess, expertise has come from that kind of part of the background. And personally, I love just always kind of knowing that you can be better.
Okay, so you're striving to build golf shafts. I mean, obviously, some players say they can't really feel anything, but if you gave them a C-Taper 130 and you gave them a KB 90, they'd feel a difference, right? It's the ability to know what that does to their ability to make a good golf shot.
Yes, not only what it feels like, but how the weight aspect changes to the performance of the shaft, to the frequencies, the spin rates, the playability, hitting all different shafts, how that connects with the proper head, different CGs in the heads, different bounces, all that. Yeah, there's a million things that goes into it.
Well, let's focus on the shaft aspect for a second. KBS, I feel like if I'm going to analyze that as a whole company, you really melt three kind of things. So your flex, FM, and weight. And then I guess profile, they're your three targets, and you have different areas in the company, like C-Taper, Tour V, Tour, and you separate. So can you give in some insight into the design of why weight and flex change together?
Yeah, I mean, so when we're designing shafts, we're doing it with fitting in mind. So we want to be able to hit every aspect to people's feels, which people feel different things. But we do know that primarily a shaft, whether it's let's say a tour shaft on the regular tour, everybody that plays on the PGA Tour primarily plays a shaft that weighs between 120 and 130 grams. So now we need to start determining what affects the right profiles for that particular shaft.
And it's nothing to do with the weight that is causing those players to play that. They say, okay, well, at 120, 130 is a better golf shaft. That's a determination of the speed that they're moving the product at.
Partly speed. So it's marrying the speed to the person's feel. So sometimes, just because they're swinging it at a 6-iron at 100 miles an hour doesn't mean they want to play a shaft that weighs 130 grams.
Yeah.
So for us, we have to figure out, okay, they don't want a shaft that weighs 130 grams. They like a shaft that feels 120 grams, but what shaft at that speed is going to perform best for them?
Yeah, stable load, and then give them the feel and flight conditions.
Exactly.
And that's why I think KBS does such a great job in the industry. As a fitter, for me, being able to have a whole range of shafts under one company that I know consistency of the weights, you know, from a build perspective, but they also perform really different. You know, a C-taper to a normal KB Tour is such a drastic change for a player to feel and see a change in ball flight.
In both launch and spin.
Yeah.
And feel. And our goal at KBS has been to really be that for the fitters. That's that we want to be. We want to be able to fit everyone. So we want the fitters to be able to do their job to the best of their expertise. And to do that, we feel like we need to have something that fits every aspect of those conditions.
Cool. Well, I want to get you and Kim back in here at some point together, talking about, because we touched on right at the beginning that you do have some influence on the design aspect of the golf shafts. So I really want to dig into and help people understand, you know, how golf shafts are made. And now KBS has really started to branch into a graphite side in terms of not just hybrids any longer, into the wood game, into the driver shaft game. So I'll pick your brains on that a little bit later. But going back onto your tour experience. So you've worked with, you know, college players, elite college players who effectively now can walk out onto the PGA Tour, some of these guys, your LPGA players and PGA Tour players. But let's focus on the ladies golf, because I think that is, like, within the industry today, the most applicable to most, you know, decent male golfers in terms of club head speed and playability of golf courses, like what people play week in, week out. They're not playing 8,000-yard golf courses anywhere else. So,
and not just that, I think that the women swing on the LPGA Tour, they swing their drivers, you know, between 92 and 108 miles an hour, which is mainly the biggest demographic of golfers out there.
Yeah, it's a good frame for club fitting. So
it's perfect.
Tell me about that experience of, like, what do you do with those players and in their bag, you know, shaft, flex, weight ranges, but also equipment to strategize for that player versus strategizing for, you know, a Bryson or a Tiger or a Rory. You know, they're playing different golf clubs, different shafts. Give us an insight into that.
So when we started to go down the road of graphite, we started because we wanted to marry the iron shafts, our steel iron shafts. A lot of people were only playing up to 5 and 4 irons. So you're losing a couple irons in the bag from 2 and 3s. So we started because we wanted to bridge that gap between KBS and wood shafts. And we came up with our Tour Hybrid. I don't know, we did such a good job on that shaft, and the profile of that shaft fit a perfect situation that sent us down the road of doing iron shafts. And in doing that, the LPGA Tour was the perfect segue for us to get into. And I was teaching a couple of the girls on the LPGA Tour at the time, had them playing our shaft, and it just took off. Like, I mean,
are you talking TGI here?
I'm talking TGI.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago. And in the process, you know, we always want to get better. And then we've gotten, you know, we've designed 2 more graphite shafts. Our KBS Max came along, and then we did our PGI, which has been, I can't even tell you how successful that's been.
Well, we've had it on the van, you know, on the road. Me and Justin are out there, and we're fitting with it. The guys here are fitting with it. We're getting some great results. But give us great time. TGI Max Pgi, quick reference.
TGI is a little lower launching. PGI is kind of a mid-fits feeling shaft. It has just a great feel, and the Max is a higher launching shaft. The PGI, for instance, has won 3 of the last 4 events on the LPGA, I think. Won KPMG with Inji Chun. Lizette Salas won at Dow with it. Celine Boutier finished 2nd last week. It's literally kind of been a go-to shaft. It's just amazing how that shaft performs and feels.
So then, like in those people that have won, I mean, and I mean, not just the winners, but give us a bit of an overall spec of what's your, like, most consistent weight range or shaft that you're picking and that's getting really good performance at the moment.
You know, 80, 90 grams on the LPGA Tour has been that really sweet spot.
Okay.
I found that a lot of the girls were probably playing a shaft that was a little too heavy for them, and being able to find the right weight for them to swing, they were able to gain ball speed, height, and it just changed their game to be able to attack pins that they probably couldn't get at before.
And I think that's a big difference between, you know, tour golfers and your average golfer. You know, a tour golfer is really, really focusing on, I've got to land it in this area. So they're all about hitting it high and knowing where it's going to stop. And I don't think your amateur golfer necessarily plays that game as much.
And not just that, on the tour, each week they're playing a golf course that's been designed to be in perfect shape. They're getting the greens firm, fast. So the conditions are that they need to really optimize their spin and launch angles to be able to hit every shot. So they need to be able to bring it when the wind's blowing, to be able to flight it and they need to be able to spin it enough to get to front pins when the greens are firm.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, just you said, generally speaking, you've seen these guys transition into a slightly lighter product. And as a general rule, lighter product means it's more malleable, which just means it's easier for them to pop the golf ball up in the air.
Yeah. To me, sometimes what I've noticed in maybe whether it's an LPGA or some younger junior golfers is that sometimes they have a product that might be a little bit too heavy for them. So what happens is the club swings them a little bit versus them being able to swing the club. So
they're having to manhandle it. It's interesting, right? Good player, bad player, they're trying to figure out, muscle it to make it work rather than just do it.
It would be kind of similar to my experience when I was on tour the first 15 years of my playing career. I used a shaft that was an X100 simply because what else was out there didn't really fit me. And I wouldn't say X1 was perfect for me, but I knew what that shaft could do. But it limited my ability a little bit because I didn't swing it quite as fast as the Tigers or the Dustins or the people that have used that shaft in the past.
So you're having to manipulate, you might have to shallow out your angle of attack or hit a little cut to try and spin it.
Exactly.
Versus being able to just do it.
Or to launch it. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because if you back off that shaft that's meant to go at 95 miles an hour and you're swinging it at 92, it's not quite getting
You're not loading it up.
Loading it up enough.
So, in that reference point, what are you using now? What's your iron shaft of the day?
Well, it's funny because I love having guys like you hit the shafts that maybe we come up with. And right now it's kind of a concept between a Tour V and a money taper, which is 120 grams, kind of fits my weight, and it's super stable, yet has some feel to it.
So you think this is going to make market?
Usually when we come up with an idea, it's with the intentions of market. So
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Give us some technical detail between those two. So S-taper, is it S-taper and money, did you say?
Yeah, money taper and Tour V. So Tour V has a little bigger OD. It's a firmer shaft that the frequency's up higher. So we have guys like, Phil Mickelson's used Tour V forever. So is Victor Hovland. And we have Luke List, some amazing ball strikers that use that shaft. And it's a shaft that's very, very stable. And then the money taper is a shaft that is very, very efficient. The way the energy is transferred through the steps is a micro taper, which gives it an incredible feel, but also gives us a spin rate that we're looking for. So those to get that kind of blend together can be hopefully what we think could be a very positive shaft.
Well, I've been lucky to hit that. I know what Tour V feels like.
Exactly.
And then hitting that comparatively, it is a completely different feel. You've got the same weight, similar intention, but it is completely different. So hopefully we get to put that out there and get guys to try that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me, going on that same line, like, how do you come up with that concept? Like, where do you think, okay, well, this is this and this is that, so let's, melt those two together?
That comes from laying awake at night wanting to hit perfect golf shots.
Yeah. You personally, you like you say, it's driven by you.
That's driven by me. That's literally me just being, you guys have watched me put a golf club together. I am so anal to a point where it annoys myself. Like if it's not done perfectly, I just can't even handle it. So for me, I want to hit golf shots in that same vein. Like I just have one way that I want to execute a shot and how it feels and performs, and that goes down to what the shaft is feeling through the shot and how it performs into the head. And so it's just a combination of all these variables coming together that provide that reason we all play the game.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's touch on Graphite real quick as well. In the top end, in that driver end, like you're new in that industry, the driver industry. What did you do to kind of make a presence, and what's your point of difference, I guess?
I guess we were fortunate in that we had so much success with with our Tour hybrid shaft that it was just such a focal club to go on. That what we like to do is design all of our shafts off our EI curve of our steel, and we just implemented the same process from the Tour Hybrid into the irons, and then we did that with the TD shaft. So it's basically, we like to have our shafts unload energy efficiently and have great feel. And that's what we did with our TD. And it's something that I was very surprised at in the testing, because I had played other products before and really liked the products I was playing. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of great shafts out there, and I feel fortunate that we can compete with some of those shafts that have been around for a lot of years that are really good.
Yeah. What one do you play out of your rank? Or are you playing your driver shaft?
Mine right now,
yeah,
it's a TD category 4.
Okay.
And it's one of our newer high mod ones that we have on the regular tour and LPGA tour for probably faster swingers. It's got a little lower launch and a little lower spin rate.
So 110, 115 club head speed?
Exactly. I like to think I could still swing at 115, but I can't. So let's just say it performs at 110 to 112 pretty good.
Okay, cool. And wrapping it up, I just give us maybe a cool tour experience story you've had, something that you think was memory maker.
I'll tell you what, I have them every week now, and it just blows my mind to, like, this week I was at the Ladies British over there, and I was working with Gabby Lopez on getting a couple hybrids in play, and then she goes out and shoots 4 under in the afternoon, which is low round, and I know she's using that hybrid all day.
Yeah.
And it's like cool, and they're so appreciative. I can't even explain how they come back, and it just makes you want to do that much better for them.
Yeah.
So like Inji Chun, who won 3 weeks ago, after she won, she came up, gave me a big hug, and she goes, "I love KBS." And just stories like that. And for me, I'm always selfishly following, our guys like Cam Smith playing great, using KBS Tour, Victor Hovland, playing great. Just we have our guys, and I just pull for them all the time. So it's fun to watch it, and it's fun to try to help guys play better golf.
Yeah, well, it's satisfying. Getting results is satisfying.
Exactly.
Do you feel that the results you get, and obviously they result in a $1 million check or something, so yes, that's big, but in terms of the actual result from transitioning out of their existing equipment into a KBS product, do you still have that wow factor moment like you do with an amateur golfer, and it's like, oh my God, I've hit something great here?
Yes, for sure. And the wow factor still, it even happens a year after they've been in it. So for instance, Céline Boutier, she's from France, played Solheim Cup for Europe, and she's played great. She's won 3 times. Last week she was at Scottish, and she finished second. She shot 17, 18 under, and Ayaka shot 10 under to pass her the last round at the Scottish Open, but otherwise she would have won again. But even seeing her finish great last week, I had just as much joy as when she won, a year ago with the PGI in the bag when she just switched to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some gratification in watch people playing their best.
Yeah, and knowing that you've had a part to play in it, and that all the hard work that you do week in, week out of testing, and then design and fail and design and win, and then all of a sudden it's on tour and people are buying it. So you're literally pushing the golf industry onward. So kudos there. It's
trying to, and it's sometimes it actually drives you in another way, in that if the last thing I want to do is be the reason that player's not succeeding.
Yeah, little stress, little pressure. Yeah,
it just drives me crazy. I'm like, all right, what can I do to help them play better golf?
Well, that's the Cool Club's motto here, and it fills in perfectly. You really have that desire as a fitter. The last thing you want is the player to walk away and you not have almost an immediate experience. Sometimes there's a little adjustment. You got to figure out what it does, but you want them to just go out there and hit the golf shot that they're thinking of, they're feeling.
Exactly. That's where it's gratifying in that regard, that you're helping somebody else enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's come back. Let's do it again. Let's bring Kim in and we'll talk a bit more technical stuff, but thank you so much for coming in, mate. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.